Hey guys, how's it going? So today we're going to be working on two different projects. This first one I'm really excited about. See that container right there? And the other one right over there? We are going to be planting these up with the most beautiful blend of plants. Look at this mix of plants. As I was gathering and putting them in the back of the gator, I was just imagining how beautiful these are going to be together, both in the containers and eventually in the landscape. We are dealing with two different varieties, or three different varieties of perennial rather, one type of shrub and one annual. So the annual Super Tutti Mini Vista Yellow, that will be the only one out of this group that will not come back next year. This one, but it does bring a pop, a sparkle to this arrangement. And then all of these other ones, we can either pop them out late fall or we can pop them out in spring into the landscape in a sunny spot. And that'll depend on if I decide to come in with an evergreen for winter. Ideally, we just leave these in the container over the winter, keep them watered, and then pop them out in the spring. All of these are pretty tough. I mean, this shrub, this is a summer wine 9 bark. This is a zone 4 through, I think 4 through 7, 3 through 7. Holy moly. Grows 5 to 6 feet tall and 6 to 7 feet wide in the landscape. Beautiful spring blooms, beautiful color through the season, and I think they're gonna contrast the shakes on this greenhouse beautifully. And then we've got two different varieties of echinacea here. This first one's called Kim's Knee High, and it grows 18 to 24 inches tall, zone 3, so another tough one. And then we've got, this is Marcella, Rainbow Marcella, zone 4, 16 to 18 inches tall. And this one's got kind of a tropical vibe. I like these two together. I think they're really pretty. And I'm not sure if I'm gonna use both of them together in this container. I'm kind of hoping to, or not. I don't know yet. And then we've got the Silver Lining Artemisia, which I think is rated down to a zone 4 as well. Yeah, zone 4 through 9. I've got these planted out in the landscape and they've been there for a couple of seasons now and they do great. And they just provide this icy blue, cooling kind of note to the garden. And after this project, we've got just a small house plant repot project. I've got a fern I want to pot and put it inside on that new table that I just picked up antiquing with my mom and sister Monica. So anyway, you're gonna have to bear with us over the next few days because our forecast just looks like it's an inferno. I mean, we're like 104 plus for the next 10 days. Today's 108. It's not there yet. So we're going to be doing projects that don't take us quite as long so we can get things done earlier in the day. That's the one benefit of high desert. If you get out early enough, it does cool down by like 40, 45 degrees every single night. So, which usually means wind. We had a lot of wind last night. Anyway, we're just trying to keep things alive and keep ourselves out of the sun in the afternoons. So just bear with us for a little bit while we do these smaller project days. Nothing small about this mix of plants though. Love it. Let me just show you the container up close. Paul took the box of topiaries that were in here out and put fresh soil in. There's fresh drip run to them. So we are good to go. The boxwood topiaries we've had in these containers for the last couple of seasons, and they did not come through the winter well at all this year. I think they dried out too much, and they had on the wind side of each one of them, they had big dead patches. And I left them in there for months thinking, well, let's see if you recover, and they just weren't recovering and they were looking really bad. So we popped those out. I think Bethany took them home. She's gonna maybe try to recuperate them, but as a topiary, I don't know that it'll be a long time before you can recuperate them back into that shape after you cut all the dead out of them. So it was time for something fresh. Okay, let's get after this. Root system looks good. I don't think we're gonna need to do too much fluffing on that. Oh my goodness, doesn't that look beautiful up against the shakes? I love it. Okay, I'm gonna go grab my kneeling pad. I always imagine these pots being way bigger than they actually are. Okay, that's better. Oh, beautiful together. Let's try that there. I'm gonna grab one of the Artemisia and see if I like the look of it here. Oh yeah, yep. What do we think of that? Is that a beautiful blend? Here's our other option. We could pop a wire vine in there, which might give us more contrast to the pot. What do we think of that? Oh yeah, I kind of like that better. Don't you think this color gets kind of lost up next to this concrete? It looks gorgeous with the plants, but I don't think it is a high enough contrast. So we're gonna skip this one. And I'm making sure there's soil packed around each one of these plants' root balls and that they're all at relatively the same level here. So gorgeous. So I'm basically just gonna be doing a repeat of these 4 plants around the 9 bark. First one is done and it's absolutely gorgeous, and it's just so much fun because I don't usually find myself planting containers in the middle of July. And when I plant my containers earlier on in the season, I don't often think to put echinacea in them because it takes them a while to bloom. They don't usually start blooming until about this time of the year. So to see them in bloom, and we get to enjoy these blooms through the rest of the season, all of these plants will look good all the way through a really hard frost. So it's just fun to see a little bit of a different combination. I mean, the 9 bark is gorgeous. It doesn't contrast the shakes quite as much as I thought it was going to, but that doesn't even matter. I mean, look at it. It's just so pretty with everything in here. So I used 3 of the Kim's Knee-High and 3 of the Marcella Echinacea, and then the Supertunia Mini Vista Yellow along with the wire vine. And I think that that was a good move to not use the Artemisia, even though it's a beautiful plant and beautiful, like I mentioned with the other ones. It just didn't show up against this container, and I think it would have been just a little bit lost, and it would almost look like a hole in the arrangement because it blends so much in with the container. I think the wire vine does a really good job of showing up. Oh, it's just so pretty. And I got it all watered in, so all the plants are settled, and we'll be keeping a close eye, even though we do have it set up on drip. So the drip actually goes underneath the greenhouse and hooks to our greenhouse hose, and it's on a timer to go off at 11 a.m. every single day for 15 minutes. But we are going to be keeping a close eye because freshly planted things in this kind of heat can tend to want to wilt a little bit more and need a little bit of extra care. Now let's get that second one done and get into the studio because I'm already starting to drip sweat. Oh, showered my face with dirt. Awesome. And there's container number 2 over there. That's the one thing about having both doors open that's a little bit of a bummer. Kind of masks that container over there from one angle, but I do like to have flanking containers right here. I think it's a really pleasant look. Oh, it's just so beautiful. And maybe we can get out here when the lighting isn't quite as harsh to take a look. And there's that one more time. Our mums are all doing really well after the repot. And here's what we have left in the gator. We've got a couple of the Supertunias, Artemisia that we can get out into the landscape, as well as 2 of the Marcellas. Now we have 8 total if you include the ones that are in the pots. So when I plant those 2, I'm going to keep the other 6 in mind. When I get ready to pop those out, we'll have a spot just ready and waiting for them to live. And I used all of the Kim's Knee-High. I only had 5 of those, so I used 3 of them in the pot that's a little bit more visible and 2 in the pot that's tucked a little bit more away. So we'll pop those out somewhere different in the landscape when we're ready. Okay, let's head into the studio where it is air conditioned, and I actually have 3 ferns I want to pot up. Oh my goodness, it's nice in here. You can see we've got some ranunculus. We've pulled that row Those are just drying down the rest of the way before we store those. I picked up some beautiful plants down at the garden center the other day. Some new violets, a peperomia, some ferns. And these are the 3. I set everything out here the other day. I just didn't have a chance to pot them. So I'm thinking this big one in the gray container, this one in the medium container, and this variegated one in the smallest container. I think that'll be really, really nice. I've got my soil here. So let's get these potted up and then we'll take them into the house. Okay, so some of these clay pots have giant drain holes. That's not too big. Look at the size of that one though. It's a pretty good sized drain hole, and a lot of soil wants to come through those right in the beginning. So I'll usually use like a coffee filter or a piece of paper towel, but I've got a burlap sack sitting out here, so that's what we're gonna use, just a little piece of that. So something like that right there, that's just a doubled up piece, folded in half. And burlap will allow a lot of water to still go through, but it'll keep the soil up in the container, which I think will be handy. So I'm just gonna put one at the bottom of each one of these containers. Oh yeah, this one's got a pretty big drain hole too. See that? Woo. Using the organic potting mix for all of these. And usually, like, the rule of thumb is to not pot something up into too big of a pot. They usually say to just go 1 pot size bigger than the pot that it's currently in. But I'm gonna go a little bit bigger for all of these because I am kind of sick of repotting plants and then not having the containers hold enough moisture to keep the plants happy, especially ferns, for more than just a few days. And if it's gonna live in my house, it has to go a while between waterings and be okay. So I'm hoping that using these size of pots will be all right for these ferns. I think we'll be okay. Okay, you can see I created a little well in my container there. And I don't think this is like too dramatic of a jump up. I don't know. But anyway, fern number 1, maybe you guys can help with the identification here because this one doesn't have an ID tag. So we're gonna pop it out of its container. Doesn't appear to be root bound or anything, so I'm just gonna pop it right into the pot. And we're gonna tamp soil in all the way around the root ball, make sure it's firmly in place. I mean, scale-wise, that looks perfect. And we're gonna also make sure there's plenty of room for water. So the lip needs to be, you know, I don't know, 1/2 to 1 inch deep. Otherwise, water will wanna just run over the sides of the containers. These do have saucers, which I did glaze this winter, so they will not soak water through the bottom and wreck any of my surfaces. Oh, it's beautiful, look at that. Okay, fern number 2, again, a little help with the identification. This is a variegated fern, and I wanna say maybe albino fern, variegated albino, I'm not positive. We make our well, we'll pop this one out. Again, looks really nice. Pops right down in there. This is the front of the container. Tamping the soil in around the root ball. Got a nice lip there. And saucer. Gorgeous. Angle up for this one. This is a taller fern. See our well there? Fern number 3, if you guys could ID, that'd be awesome. I let this dry out one time in here, so it's got a couple of dry leaves. There's the root system. This one's a little bit more bound up, so I'm gonna break the bottom here and then pop it in. Oh, not deep enough. There it is. Oh, that's like a glove. And there's that one, beautiful. Now I usually wait to top dress my containers as well with little stones because I like to gauge moisture levels. But these are going up into a bedroom upstairs and I don't want to have to haul rocks up there, so I'm just gonna top dress them today, hope for the best. And this is what I'm using. These are little stones in the color Kona Gray. we have the second one. This one I'm switching to a different color called Original Soul. It's got a little bit more browns. It's grays and browns. And watch the color change when it gets water. It just cleans off the stones. And they will dry a lighter color, obviously, than when they're wet, but they'll be a lot deeper than they are right now because we're washing that initial dust off of them. Oh, it's so pretty. Okay, now watch the color on this one. And there they are, all done. They look so good. They've been watered in. In fact, that one I watered a little bit too much. I'm gonna have to get rid of that. Although I did seal the bottom of these saucers as well. And that's the one thing with terracotta to be mindful of if you're putting your plants inside your house. Terracotta saucers and pots, they leak water, they're porous. So they're great pots. I love terracotta and clay, but you can seal, and maybe we can link the video where I did it. I use a Rust-Oleum product that you can just paint in the bottoms of the saucers, so like on the inside of the saucers, and it keeps water inside. It keeps them all sealed up so that it doesn't bleed through and ruin the surfaces that you set your pots on. So anyway, these are beautiful. I can't wait to get them in the house, so let's do that. Okay, so we've got our pots here, but this is something I'm going to add. These are little pads that have sticky on the bottom that you can put on the bottom of things that might scratch a surface. And this is a marble table right here, so I want to protect that. So we just take the sticky off. Let me get 3 of them ready. That's usually how many I put on. And then just apply them to the bottom of your saucer, kind of in thirds. That way you can move your saucer around and you're not going to hurt anything on your table. There we go. You don't really notice them. They just kind of disappear underneath. I love this right here. The plants, the table, you might notice the candy dish with the marble bottom. We picked this up on our shopping trip as well. And I usually just like to toss books on a tabletop. I do a lot of reading. I've got a lot of books. So it's really easy to get different levels for your plants when you use those as a pillar. And then I've got a little diffuser here. And then here's the other one. Might have to twist it just a little bit, but it fits this space beautifully. And I got to figure out something to put in that dome. But it's got to be something I don't have to water, because if it's a pain to water, it probably won't get water. So this one you have to use your hands, you know, lift the dome off, and then you get the dome kind of dirty. You have to set the dome down to water, and it's just, ugh. So I need to put like a dried flower arrangement or something like that in there. But for now, it just looks pretty. I really like it. And you guys, that is going to do it for today's projects. Like I said, we're just going to be doing things that hopefully take us a little bit more inside in air-conditioned spaces, and we'll be working primarily in the mornings through this next week. Oh my goodness. Last year, I think we got maybe 5, 6, 7 days at the most of 100+ degree temperatures, and it was right around the pond build time, which was so unfortunate. But the forecast now is looking like we're having, I don't know, I wonder if we're gonna hit a record for like most days over 100 in a while at least. Ugh. But I do appreciate you guys watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Really fun outside arrangement and really fun new inside plans. And I just need to get myself on a schedule. You guys know me. I have a tough time. I struggle keeping my houseplants watered, especially this time of year. So maybe like I just need to pick a day and that's the day I do it. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.